Support for Radio Friends comes from IT Como, offering computer and IT services for small businesses and residential clients. IT Como can set up remote work-at-home solutions and data security and backup systems and upgrade your company email to more modern platforms. IT Como can also help you get the most from your technology at home. Learn more at itcomo.com. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, August the 12th. And what better way to go into the weekend than with a songwriter, a storyteller, a singer. What else can I say about you?
A scholar and a gentleman.
Hello. A scholar and a gentleman. Okay. Larry Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning, Larry. It's good to have you here. You have today, you don't have a song, but you have a generic story since this is not a holiday.
Well,
we try to put you in around holidays.
This is the season for camping and taking trips and vacations. So this is just your typical camping story.
Okay. I love storytelling. My dad was a wonderful storyteller. Well, I remember in the summertime, we'd sit under the big tree in the backyard, drink lemonade, and my grandfather would be there, and they would share stories of the old country.
Well, this is going to be a story of the current country.
Okay. So here's Larry Brown with a story.
Now, I don't know how many of you have ever tried to travel and go on a camping vacation with a cat. But a number of years ago, we had a cat that I thought could do it. She traveled with me quite a bit and very responsive and took hikes with her, and she was just fine. And so we decided we would try it, and we had packed up the pickup camper in the back with the tent and the air mattresses and all our camping supplies, and we're going to head out to the mountains in Colorado. And I had kind of jerry-rigged a little harness and a leash for Pepper, the cat, just in case. And, the first night we were, somewhere in western Kansas, and she did fine. And the second night we'd found this gorgeous camping site in a national forest, a beautiful mountain stream, and had set up the tent and blown up the air mattresses. And I was making the fire, getting ready to cook supper on the fire. And I had attached her leash to a little tree off to the side. Well, while I was working with the fire and getting things ready for the meal, I just caught out of the corner of my eye, she was kind of struggling a bit with her harness, and just like melting butter, she just slid out of that collar and then ran for a little pine tree and went whoosh, right up to the top of it. Well, it wasn't a very big tree, but she was way up on the top, kind of way up at the top, and I called, she wouldn't come down, but the tree was small enough, I thought I'd just get a hold of it and bend it over. I'd pull the tree over, and then I'd be able to reach up and get her. But the tree was a little too rigid and it was a little too far. So I had an idea. I backed the pickup up to the tree and got up on the bed of the pickup. So that gave me a few more feet higher and I could get a better grasp. And I pulled that tree over and I was still not quite far enough to get her. So I had an idea. I tied a rope to the tree and to the bed of the pickup and had Linda, my wife, pull the pickup slowly forward so it would just bend that tree over and I'd be able to reach up there and get her out of the tree. Well, apparently my rope skills were not as good as I thought they were. I watched the rope just untangle and that tree went and sent Pepper up in the air, up into the top of another pine tree. Now,
is this a true story?
This was not a problem because I could see I could climb that tree. So up I went, and I'd gotten up about 30 feet. I was almost up to her and noticed this huge, big nest up there in the top of this pine tree. And about that moment, I heard two screams. The first scream was my wife, Linda, going, "Larry, Larry, look out!" And the second was coming from this large black bird with a white head zeroing in on us. And I realized, that, of course, that I was probably in danger, but Pepper realized that too. She didn't want to be fast food delivered to an eagle's nest, so she jumped from her perch down onto my chest, talons extended, onto my chest. Just as that happened, in came the eagle. Now, out of self-defense, I just raised my hands to protect myself, and as the talons of the eagle were coming in, I grabbed the eagle's leg. And of course, the eagle was flopping, trying to get away, and Pepper was climbing up on me. And it was that moment I realized I was no longer attached to the tree. So down we went, limb by limb. And I heard another scream, except it was coming from me this time. My wife was watching this whole thing. She was calculating the rate of our descent and the orientation of our destination, and threw all of the sleeping bags and the air mattress and stuff in a pile to cushion our fall. So down I come, hanging onto the eagle with the cat on me, hit that. It was so soft, though, it just took us down and sent us into the air. Did I tell you about the tent? The tent was our next spot. Here was that stretched nylon over aluminum poles, took us in just like a trampoline, and off we went again. Did I tell you about the fire? Well, my wife realized probably the fire was next, so she'd thrown a blanket over the fire, and we landed like that. Well, the eagle had had enough of that and started taking off, and Pepper the cat rolled off, and as I rolled off, a puff of smoke kind of went up following the eagle, and as I got... Did I tell you about the people camped next to us? Well, apparently they heard the screams, because as soon as I stood up, there was a round of applause, which is probably what attracted the ranger. Because he pulled up in his truck and came walking over and looking at all this, and he was walking right toward me as I was getting up, and just as he was approaching me, a single eagle feather floated down out of the air and landed on the ground right between us. And the ranger looked at me and looked at the feather, and I looked at him and the feather, and he said, you can't keep that eagle feather. It's against the law. I said, oh, I realized, yes, sir, I know, sir. And although in my heart I thought I earned that eagle feather. Well, he picked up the eagle feather and he looked around and he says, I don't know what kind of ritual's going on here, but I don't think it belongs in a national forest. And clean up this mess. And took the feather and went back to his truck. And the people from camping next door went back to their campsite. And Pepper the cat came up and kind of rubbed against my leg like, wasn't that a great adventure I planned for us? and Linda, was cleaning up the campsite, and as the ranger drove off, I don't know if you'll believe this or not, but I distinctly heard coming from the top of that tree an eagle that was saying something like, "Tree, tree, stay out of my tree." And I call that story CAT-apult.
At first, Larry, I thought it was a true story. There's no way this happened.
Now, I have to admit, Paul, that I tell true stories all the time, but this one earned me a place in the Missouri Liars contest a few years ago.
That is a great story. I think that's one of the best stories you have told.
That's a tall tale.
Yeah, that earned you a place in the Missouri Liars?
Yeah, I can't remember if I got second or third place that year for that story.
That is really a good story. Is any part of it true?
Attempting to camp with a cat is true. And the cat getting away in the woods, that did happen. So that was the
Did you get
basis.
the cat back, though?
Yes. Oh, yes, we did. And did not do that again. But that was the basis that exaggerated.
Oh,
yes.
that was one great story. Thank you. At first, I really thought it was true, and then it just got a little bit too exaggerated there.
That's a tall tale.
All right. Larry Brown, pleasure having you with us. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you for getting us into the weekend with a chuckle on our face. Something you'd like to hear or see, drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.